It's interesting, the telephone building. Huh. This is a nice little town. Oh, this town is bigger than I thought. This post office is huge. Looks historical. I like it. Must be the county seat. Built in 1896. Interesting. Got some public art here. Theater. Wow. Hello friends, welcome to Newark, Ohio. I'm glad you're here. One of my friends gave me a gift certificate to a coffee shop, the River Road Coffee House. It's right here behind me. I've never been to Newark before. I've been through it. Had some friends that have lived out here and said it was a great little town. So I thought I'd come out here and use this gift certificate to coffee shop as an excuse to explore the town a little bit. And so far, so good. This little downtown square has got a lot of businesses in it and the cool old courthouse behind me here. It's like a nice little place, little quiet town. Stuff's going on. There's a couple breweries out here. There's a winery right down the street I noticed. And another very interesting historical thing here in Newark that I want to show you. But first, let's get some coffee. River Road. Some latte art. It's a lumberjack. It's got maple, caramel, and butterscotch in it. Perfect drink for a fall day. That is nice. That's very good. River Road Coffee Shop has been a great place to chill out for a little while and do some research on our next main destination of this video. I cannot wait to go check this out. Can't wait. That old theater. I'd like to see something there. I think they do plays in this theater now. $2,400 years ago or so, in the year 1 to the year 400, sometime within there, the Hopewell Indians, who lived in the Midwest region here of the United States, built these gigantic mounds. Most people think of Indian mounds as being burial mounds, but they were more than that. They weren't just ceremonial mounds for burial. They were mounds they used for different types of ceremonies through the year. Astronomy, they used the mounds for gatherings of all sorts. So it wasn't just burials. This mound was one of the greatest mounds that was ever built in the world, right here in Newark. It's amazing. There are 3 earthworks here in Newark. This is the circle mound. It's 1,200 feet in diameter, making a nearly perfect circle with a 5-foot deep moat that goes all around it. The entrance here is pretty impressive. Now this mound, which is considered a mound, the whole area here, was used for ceremonial purposes. So big gatherings of the Hopewell Indians would come here and do whatever they did. The next couple of mounds that we'll see are in town. They're not nearby here. They're maybe a mile away or less. We're gonna go check those out. They had different purposes, but this one was for the community to gather. It's such a big space out here. It's a really nice space to fly a kite, if you're into that. I would like to fly a kite out here, but it's a little chilly for me at the moment. I'm not prepared for that. Although I do have kites in the car. Well, who knows, I might pull one out. But I'm here to really enjoy the history of the place. I like to think about what happened right here on these grounds 2,400 years ago and for thousands of years. Pretty amazing. All across the grounds are these informational signs, like this one that explains the eagle at the center. We're at the center of the circle, and right here where these smaller mounds are, used to be a community gathering point. They had a structure here and so a fire ring in the middle, some copper ornaments, and it was all covered up by these smaller mounds eventually. But they did some excavating in the 80s and discovered those structures and recreated some images of them so we could see kind of how they lived. It's a very large tree. So I am standing on one of the smaller mounds here in the center where the Eagle building was built. But you're not allowed to walk on any other part of the mound itself. So the perimeter, you're not allowed to walk on that. You can't go through the moat. They say that's part of the preservation of this. No walking, which no problem. It's nice to look at. Love the color of these leaves. Beautiful. Another nice looking tree. A lot of nice trees in this park. For those of you curious, right there's what the Eagle Mound looked like. The entrance to the Circle Mound here is pretty majestic. It's a grand entrance. And right past it, you see that building back there. That's a museum for the Newark Earthworks. Now, online, it states that this moat around the mound is 5 feet deep, but it looks to be more like 8 or 10 feet deep most of the way. Well, the sign says they're open. Let's go check it out. Well, this is a nice map of the Great Circle Mound and the other mounds in Newark. UNESCO is a World Heritage organization that preserves places like this, and the Great Circle Mound and the other 2 earthworks that we'll see today are 3 of the 7 earthworks in Ohio that UNESCO has signified as being protected. UNESCO designated this place a protected site. Let's go find out why. It looks like a very small museum, but let's see what they got. This pipe was found in one of the mounds, along with this guy. It's a replica, but it was found here in the mound. Here's some images of the shape of these mounds that are found across Ohio. Here's the Great Circle Mound, where we just were. A couple of years ago, during a snowstorm, I visited the Serpent Mound. That was a very peaceful and interesting visit, I must say, but that's what it looks like. Here's a better image of what the building looked like underneath the Eagle Mound. This is a really cool part of the exhibit. It talks about the indigenous people who lived on the planet from the Paleo Indians, 13,000 to 7,000 BC. Some of the things that happened here at these time markers. And it goes all the way from the archaic, early woodland, middle woodland, late prehistoric, and historic, which goes all the way to the present day, and talks about things that happened and what years. The Taj Mahal, built in 1648. I didn't know that. Birth of Christ in Bethlehem, year 4. The birth of Buddha, 570 BC. I did not realize that in the year 2100 BC, Stonehenge was built. Did you know the earliest pottery was made in Japan in the year 10,000 BC? That's a long time ago. That's 1,000 years before farming began in the Middle East.
So you can see, yeah.
Now, this is very interesting. I did mention before that the mounds were used in astronomy. And here's an example. The moon lines exactly perfect. Here's an actual picture from the 23rd of December, 2007 of the moon right there at the entrance.
And that address here is the octagon earthwork. It's visible by a observation deck, and then there's a small walk around.
Okay.
Around the circle, kind of, you can see it's marked, and you get to go on the side of the country club's golf course section and around. And then here's a little map if you want to.
Great.
There you go.
Thanks a lot.
Uh-huh.
I was just talking to Carrie, the very nice attendant here at the museum. She was explaining that all of these little mounds all over the place, all the way through here, have all disappeared due to the development of the railroad system and other buildings around town. Gotta sign the guest book. Well, this is interesting. I saw this stamp here and I wondered if it was part of the national passport book, but it's not. It's Ohio History Passport. I'd never heard of that. I might have to get that. The museum is definitely informative. I learned a lot of stuff, especially about this Great Circle Mound. I just learned that this protected site, thank goodness for UNESCO, and for those in the community here that really care about this place and have made great efforts to protect it. In the late 1800s, early 1900s, this exact site was the location for the county fair It was also the location of the state fair eventually, and then it changed hands and became an amusement park. All right here. They had a racetrack in here, all the things that you would see at a fair. But in the racetrack, a world record was broken 3 times for riding a bicycle backwards. I don't know if this is the longest amount of backwards riding or what, but it happened right here. Not protected for all of its life. So it was abused for a lot of that time. Most of the mounds around Newark here, there were so many, were just eaten up by developers. The next mound that we're going to see is not really accessible. It's on a golf course, or the golf course is on it. All around it has been developed. There's houses and a hospital that backs right up to it. Not a lot of respect has been given to these places over the years. It's unfortunate. I also learned that all around the Great Circle Mound are these small mounds that you can walk around and check out. They are also part of the protected area. Something else I find interesting about the Great Circle Mound here is that during the Civil War, 700 men from Newark signed up to go to war and serve their country. Less than half came back. It's very unfortunate. However, right here on the tops of the mound is where the military set up tables where the men could come and sign up. It happened right here. This was the beginning of their service to the country. Oh, the mound is so big. Wow. Can't wait to see the next one. I found some interesting information here on this sign I was not expecting. The Octagon Earthworks here behind me is a really amazing place and should be accessible by anybody at any time. However, the golf course, the Mound Builders golf course, leases this land, which is probably a good thing, because if they didn't lease it, this would likely all be gone to some developer's idea of building houses or another hospital or whatever they would build here. So it's been kind of protected just because of that lease over the years. Now it's totally protected because of UNESCO. One thing that is really cool about this is that on Mondays, you're allowed to go explore before there's any golfers. And the sign does say, if there's no golfers, you can go explore. Visitors must stay in designated areas when golfers are on the course. So implying that maybe you could walk around if there's no golfing happening, like today. This site has been leased by the Mound Builders Golf Club since 1910. They've done a lot to protect the land in that time. Right next to this small observatory is this map that shows you where the public can access their walkway, and a diagram of the earthworks. We are here, right there. You see the remnants of this circle right over here. It's a nearly perfect circle that is more than 1,000 feet in diameter. And over here is the octagon. The Octagon Earthworks behind me has 8 sections that are 550 feet long and 6 feet tall. And this whole area was used as a community gathering space, a lot like the other mound that we just visited, the Great Circle Mound. What's really amazing about these mounds is that they were set up to be geometrically nearly perfect with the alignment of the moon. Something I didn't know before today was that there's a cycle of the moon that lasts 18.6 years with 4 major events. There's 2 moon rises and 2 moon sets that occur in that period of time. And here on this mound, they line up exactly perfect to those specific days. I don't know any part of that. In fact, I took astronomy in college twice. Didn't do good either time. Probably won't have a chance to attempt that again, but I did attempt astronomy a few times. It was just a little beyond me. I have a lot of interest in it. So to think about the ancient Indians, the Hopewell people, figuring out this very complicated astronomical situation with the moon, it's just beyond me. I don't think that wouldn't have the wherewithal to even right now with modern science and stuff. I didn't even know that. How did they know this? How did they pick up on all this? How did they know there was 18.6 years of lunar stuff going on in a cycle? It blows my mind. It really blows my mind. Here's the Mound Builders Clubhouse, which is not open to the public, so we will not be going in there to check it out. But there is a path in the back of the clubhouse that will let us walk around the mound a little bit. Public access. I like that. Just talked to this nice gentleman taking care of the course back there, blowing leaves. He said, it's a slow day. No one's out here playing. Go ahead and walk around the course. So that's what we're going to do. Golf and family club. Sweet. It's so nice out here. It's very peaceful. I do like a walk around the golf course every now and again. Not much of a golfer. I've played a few times in my life. Don't really know much about it. I do love putt-putt, but not a golfer. But I do like the peace of being on a golf course. It's very nice out here. This is a nice course. As I'm looking around, I can see the border of the circle. You can probably see it okay-ish on your screen, but here it looks so big. It's almost the size, maybe a little smaller than the Great Circle Mound. And then you see here where it leads into the Octagon Mound. That really cool image we saw from December 23rd, I believe 2007, was shot right here. You can see the moon was right up here. It lines up directly down this pathway into the circle. I'd like to know more detail about how the lines in the octagon line up with the moon and that whole cycle of 18.6 years. But it's still blowing my mind. I just can't understand how they figured that stuff out. I want to get a little better look at this corridor that leads from the circle to the octagon. This is amazing. I'm right next to the mound at the end of the corridor. I'm looking around and I do see right here in the background, there's a pretty long mound there. There's one over here. And I think it's blocked by the trees. You can kind of see it below there. You may not be able to tell on your screen. But then there's some back here in the background too. This is huge. I have never seen anything like this. Old-timey lawnmower on a giant tractor pull system with those rollers on it. I bet that makes the grass look sweet. Here's an up-close look at one of the sides of the octagon. You can see down there where it separates. There's a walkway between the next section. 550 feet of mound. I'm really enjoying walking around this golf course. I've seen two people, somebody walking their dogs over here, and another guy checking out the mound, taking pictures. That's it. Just a nice peaceful day here on the course. Time to go to the final mound we'll visit today. Well, this last mound was a little difficult to find. The Wright Earthworks. This last earthworks that we're going to see today, here, the Wright Earthworks, is kind of hard to find because it says here modern way, but that's not listed on anywhere online. There's no real address to this place, but here is the intersection of Grant and James, and Interstate 79 is right here behind me, so you can find your bearings. And if you're really into it, you can look up the modern company, find their address, and you have to share the parking lot to check this place out, or what's left of this place. Like I said earlier in the video, most of the mounds here in this part of the state were just destroyed by developers building all these houses, and then the freeway and the Ohio Canal here. The only thing left of the Wright Earthworks is this small section that starts over here by the back of this house and then leads right over here behind these trucks. You see a little corner of it. It's just a small portion of what actually was here a couple thousand years ago. Here on the map, you can see that this little red portion is the only portion that we're able to see. The rest has been taken over by developers, where they built this neighborhood. So 20 acres is what this used to take up, and this is all that's left of it. Right down here on the end of Modern Way, where these kids are playing some street ball, was a main entrance into the Mound area, and this whole portion out here was the enclosed 20 acres. I will respectfully not be walking on the Mound, but walking through this entrance here to get a better experience. I really enjoy visiting places like this, thinking about those people that have gone before us, people that have lived on the same land that you and I have lived on thousands of years ago, and to see remnants of their lifestyle like these mounds. It's really incredible. What is especially incredible to me today is to consider how smart these people were and how much intuitiveness that they had to build these mounds in such a way that they lined up with a long 18.6 year cycle of the moon. It's amazing to me. I was also reading that the opening, the entrance to the Great Circle Mound, is set up to somehow align with one of the constellations. There's lots of information through that entire park with all the signs that I showed you earlier. There's probably 20 of them that I saw there with different bits of information about the mounds. So it's just really nice to come out here on a nice day like this and explore a little bit. Now it's time for me to move on down the road. I'm gonna go visit a local brewery here, the Dank House. I'll be filming for my other channel, The Brew Traveler. If you wanna go check that out, well, go over there. I'll put a link in this video when it's complete. But thanks for joining me today, friends, here in Newark, Ohio. I appreciate your company. I'll see you in the next video.